Hello, I am Amber Miller, your host for this week's Thursdays with AARP Wisconsin. Before we get to our guest, we would like to just make a few announcements. So, of course, you can always visit our website at aarp.org/Wisconsin for all upcoming events. We have a lot of virtual offerings that might be of interest to you. And please also make sure to check out our Community Connections website. This will give you information on how you could possibly support one of your neighbors or neighborhoods with some volunteer opportunities, and then also information about the Volunteer Voice program. This initiative launched a few months ago, and it's an opportunity for you to receive a phone call from one of our trained AARP volunteers. And once again, it's just a friendly voice, somebody that you could talk to, especially during this epidemic. Today we're excited. As you know, a couple weeks ago, our boss, Sam Wilson, who's the AARP Wisconsin State Director, made an announcement that there has been 4 winners of the AARP Community Challenge Grant. And today we have 2 of them, 2 of our winners. And if you don't know, so the Community Challenge Grant came out about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's part of a nationwide AARP Livable Communities initiative that helps communities become great places for all residents to live. So this could be anybody from 8 years old to 80 years old. And the program is intended to help communities make immediate improvements and jumpstart their long-term progress in support of residents of all ages. So for us to have 4 of these winners out of 184 is exciting. So I'd love to introduce you to our guest today, which is, we're going to start off with Bob Jones, who is the Economic Development Director, and he is with City of Cuba City. Good morning, Bob. Good afternoon, Bob. How are you doing?
Doing very well, Amber. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about Cuba City and what makes your city so unique, because a couple folks on here who might be watching live or watching in the replay may not even have heard of City of Cuba City.
Well, Cuba City is also known as the City of Presidents and has a long history of positive impact and accomplishment. Public input has always been a big factor in the city, and that's actually when I was 5 years ago when I was interviewing with them, that's what drew me to the city. They had a recent economic development plan. They had an economic development director for 2 years. It's in a city the size of 2,200 people. I'm proud to say at this point, Cuba City has no empty buildings. All residential, commercial, and industrial buildings are full. In 2017, we won the WEDC Main Street Award for Best Downtown Revitalization. So there's a history of accomplishment, of leadership, and the city has a lot of good assets. But through the public engagement, which we've done over the years on a regular basis, the public gathering spot was something that everybody, whether it was seniors or high schoolers, was asking for. And in the time of a pandemic, when our Main Street is suffering to a large degree, downtown plaza made a lot of sense.
Great. And so today, once again, if you just joined us, I'm Amber Miller with AARP Wisconsin. We're talking to 2 of the 4 Wisconsin Community Challenge Grant winners. If you have any questions for any of our guests today, please post them either on Facebook.com or YouTube, and we will get to them very shortly. So Bob, how did you hear about this particular grant?
Actually, I've been myself a member of AARP for longer than I care to talk about. But also in 2019, I attended the Rural Livability Conference with AARP, and Darren was there at the time. And that was in Portland, Maine. And it was just great, especially for a rural community, because sometimes we lack the access to funding. I think in terms of CDBG grants, HUD, any federal dollars is always tied to larger communities. And it's struggle. We have to be a little bit more creative. And that conference really opened my eyes to a lot of developments and things that could be done in our smaller communities. So I've been following AARP since that time. And this opportunity came at the right time for us.
Great. And thank you so much for being part of our AARP family. So tell us a little bit about the Community Challenge grant idea that won this amazing grant.
Well, it started with a partnership with the University of Wisconsin in Platteville. They have a program called Senior Design Team. And basically, it's you get 4 engineering students who are about to graduate, and they can assist with various projects. I wanted to bring more of a focus and more traffic to our downtown while also providing the community with space to gather. We've been engaged. We've had on our downtown task force, we've had 2 high schoolers involved for the last 3 years. They've done surveys of their fellow high school students, and they wanted a place to hang out. Our seniors want a place to play cards and drink coffee. Having it on Main Street brings benefit in terms of business. We have 5,200 cars a day going by on Main Street, which is State Highway 80. How do we get them to stop? So that was how this began, and then the pandemic hit. Things shifted quite quickly. The students were able to pivot with me, and I looked at the grant and I thought this is an opportunity to make an impact on our downtown in 2020. The first vision of this project was a 10-year plan to show people what this space could look like 10 years from now, then back out to 5 years, 3 years, and 1 year. But the grant gave us the opportunity to make something happen now. And again, bottom line, bringing traffic to our businesses. That's a little of the background, but we had a lot of community input. We had great partners in this. The City of Presidents Committee, our phone company donated a free Wi-Fi hotspot to our downtown.
Very nice. And it's nice to think, especially during the epidemic, that there are still creative ways to get the community involved. And how do you think, Bob, that this grant will impact your community?
Well, first and foremost, it's definitely going to give, we're close to about 20 minutes from Dubuque. Our high schoolers go to Dubuque because they have murals and art on the streets. Well, we think we can turn that around and maybe get the Dubuque kids to visit Cuba City. We think that we can have more activities there. Our design team did a great job of compiling activities that can be done there, whether it's pumpkin carving, snowball fights, comedians. We have moved our community market to this space and seen great success with it. So we do think it's going to work on that level. And again, if we get more people, one of the elements is a large ground mural. It's 3-dimensional and it's interactive. If people want to see it, they have to get out of their cars. They have to park on Main Street. So hopefully they're going to visit businesses on Main Street. So that is part of the draw to it. We're going to have Bluetooth sound system. We're going to have a grass, green space, tables, chairs, games for the kids to play. We really try to cover as many bases as possible.
And Bob, if people want to know more about City of Cuba City, is there a website that they could be directed to?
cubacity.org, and under economic development, there's a community profile. There's also under latest news, there is the latest and greatest on this plaza project.
Great. Bob, thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we have a picture.
Actually, this is a video that our students did. And again, it was to engage the community and show them what the space could be. The far back corner is a gravel parking lot that is not used except for dumping trash and abandoned cars. They gave us a vision of how this can look. We tried to incorporate a number of elements that is AARP friendly, the bicycle racks, activities, intergenerational activities in particular. There'll be seating, games. Again, we've got different activities we hope to undertake in the coming year. And the green space right on Main Street.
They did
and this, along with the senior design project, is all listed.
Oh, I was just
this
going
was
to.
new technology to my 4 senior students. They had to learn how to use this, and they really did an outstanding job. And having to shift a third of the way into it due to a pandemic, we could no longer meet face to face. The grant opportunity came up. They all did an outstanding job. I encourage everybody to engage with their local university or college.
Absolutely. Bob, if you would like to hold on just for a few minutes, we're going to bring up our second winners of the Community Challenge Grant, and then we're going to bring you back and do a Q&A at the end. So just hold on one moment, but thank you, Bob, so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. So next, I would like to introduce our second set of guests, which is Jonathan Browne, the Assistant Program Director with MKE Parks, and also Joseph Kaltenberg, who is the Program Coordinator with MKE Parks. Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Well, great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So MKE Parks was also one of 4 winners besides Bob for the Community Challenge Grant. So excited to have you guys today. So tell us a little bit about the MKE Parks Department and how it supports Milwaukee. And whoever would like to start first.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump in there. So basically, Milwaukee is a little bit complicated because we have 3 different entities that are responsible for parks. We've got the county, and then the city, and then our school district as well. And so we facilitate park reconstruction projects, and we oversee about 50 parks in the city of Milwaukee. They're small neighborhood level parks for the most part. Our median size is about an acre. So these are small parks, pocket parks, tot lots, a lot of different names they go by. But that's kind of what we do.
And Jonathan, did you have anything to add?
No, Joe hit the nail right on the head. I work basically part-time for the Parks Department because I'm also a student at the same time. And so yeah, I was full-time with the department over the summer, but right now I'm part-time during the school year.
Beautiful. And how did you guys hear about this particular grant through AARP?
So we had actually applied once or twice prior. I'm not even sure, actually. We had submitted a couple times, and it was actually directed to us by a resident. So one of our residents who we were working with on one of our park projects came across it. Honestly, I'm not exactly sure how, but they directed us to it and thought it might be an appropriate potential source for the project that we had envisioned at that park. And so a couple years later and a couple tries later, here we are.
Great. And if you could tell our audience a little bit about your Community Challenge Grant idea.
Absolutely. So this is one of our park projects that began in 2016, and basically we had done some community engagement, and the residents had indicated that they wanted to prioritize with the money that we had the playground area in particular. So they wanted to prioritize the kids space in the park with the intention that we would cycle back and create a social gathering place for some of the older residents with some game tables, but then also just a place where families could enjoy the park together as well. So that was kind of the background of the project, and this particular grant is going to support that build out of the social gathering space that we have. Just generally speaking, our program exists for the reasons you see on the screen. We think parks are great for any number of reasons. I think they're the solution to a lot of what ails our communities oftentimes. And so the problem in Milwaukee was that they were being underutilized. And so because they were deteriorating, we hadn't allocated the appropriate funding to them in the past, and also they weren't really designed to meet the needs of the communities they serve. So that's kind of what we do with our program in our reconstruction projects, is develop these partnerships and bring residents into the process to talk about the things that they want to see in the park.
Great. And there's a picture right now. If you could tell us a little bit about the pictures that are up right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is Gardner Park. This is the reconstruction project that the community gathering space is kind of off the screen, but if you were looking at that top picture, it's off to the right in that grassy space there. But this is the existing park as reconstructed in 2016. Features a Burke playground and a lot of really cool, fun rope and bar-based elements. And there's also some fitness areas in the park that were also designed for older users as well.
And if our audience is watching now, can you give us a location also of where they can find Gardner Park?
Yeah, absolutely. Gardner Park is on the far northwest side of Milwaukee. It's kind of a little residential enclave surrounded by some industrial areas, but near the intersection of like 60th and Good Hope is where you'd find that in Milwaukee.
Okay, great. And if you could talk a little bit about the picture that's up right now.
Yeah. So I should mention as well, Gardner Park, the name Gardner is evolved as a part of our process as well. So a couple of longtime residents and community activists, Bev and Bill Gardner, the rest of the community decided that they wanted to honor them with renaming the park for them. So this is kind of part of their space, and it was part of this community gathering space is also in recognition of their efforts as well. So they had for years and years and years have held informal kind of community gathering events, block watch events and that sort of thing, and without really having a home for those. And so this was kind of designed to support their efforts and continuing efforts to really engage the residents in bettering their community. So what you see here is kind of a picnic patio area, gathering space, decomposed granite surfacing, some really beautiful plantings around a mature spruce tree that already exists, some benches with game tables, and then a community kiosk as well for sharing information.
Yeah, that's very nice. And I'm glad that you were able to give us a location, just in case this is the first time people have heard of Gardner Park, or maybe traveling from outside the city or county of Milwaukee. How will your idea or this grant impact the local community?
Well, I think in any number of ways, I was really proud of actually the community made some really responsible decisions with the money that we had on the front end, and have put in the work since then to see through and fundraise a little bit extra money. But I think this will definitely support the ongoing programmatic efforts. So that the things that Bev and Bill had started in the past, for sure. And potentially offer some new opportunities for more recurring events in the park as well. There was talk about a movie night. There was talk about some farmers market type activities and that sort of thing. So I think this space will really just lend itself to kind of some flexible programming moving forward.
Great. And Jonathan, did you have any other additional comments that you would like to add?
No, I think that Joe's covered everything. So just thank you very much again for having us. We're looking forward to bringing this new area of the park to the community. And I think it's going to be a great resource and a great place for people of all generations to spend time with each other.
Absolutely. And if you're just joining us, we are talking to 2 of the 4 Wisconsin AARP Community Challenge grant winners. If you have any questions for them, please either post them on YouTube or Facebook, and we will get to them shortly. So actually, we are going to bring Bob back from City of Cuba City and all come together. Hi, Bob. And it looks like we have one question from or more of a comment from Lisa. She goes, I drive by Cuba City on the regular on my way back from Madison to Omaha. I'll look forward to stopping to check this out. And that's for Bob. So nice comment there.
Thank you.
Sure. And Jim has a question for Bob. Bob, do you think this space will draw people of all ages to the area or just kids?
We have gone out of our way to try and incorporate programming that will fit everybody. The mural itself, I think teenagers will be drawn to that, and children. There will be an element, it's going to cover several hundred yards, and there'll be one space that'll be left blank so that actual kids can add chalk art to the mural itself. It'll be 3D. In Cuba City, the city presidents, we have presidential shields honoring all of the presidents. There will be some of those 3D floating in the Mississippi River that kids can stand and pose on. We see that teenagers are going to like this. We've heard we've heard from the seniors in town that they want a place to hang out and have a cup of coffee and talk or play cards. We have a gazebo there. In the gazebo, there will be Bluetooth so you can access it and play music. The phone company, as I mentioned earlier, is already at a Wi-Fi hotspot. We're going to have bags. We're going to have spike ball. We're going to have ladder toss, games for kids, as well as, again, programming that would be. We're going to have a band playing there in the gazebo on the 16th of September at our community market. Just trying to do, the timing of this couldn't have been better in a lot of weird ways because this is all outdoor activities. We're going to be limited in the winter months, but actually, Galena's to our south, they always have outdoor festivals. We have our Christmas Glow there and parade, which terminates at this plaza. So again, the goal is to get everybody working together, playing together as well.
Terrific. And it looks like, so Arlene just mentioned, I love the idea of incorporating events into the new space. So thank you guys so much for your questions and your comments. I have another question for Joseph and Jonathan. You talked a little bit about where the garden is located, or I'm sorry, where Gardner Park is located. Can you talk a little bit about the surrounding area, and is it more of an intergenerational community?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really, it's a little residential enclave, like I said, that is kind of only accessible from one area. So you wouldn't necessarily know it unless you lived over there. But it's a really great community. A lot of families have been there for years and years. Like I said, the gardeners have been active in the community for 40 plus years. There is a growing Hmong population in the neighborhood as well, and so that's been really interesting to try and engage them in the process as well. And it's a very diverse community, both like ethnic, racially, and then also from an age perspective as well. So right next to the park, there is a childcare, a private childcare facility. And so yeah, it runs the spectrum for sure. It's a pretty diverse crowd over there.
And it looks like we just got the most important question ever. Will Gardner Park ever offer a beer garden?
Oh
it's
man,
so important. We need the answer immediately, guys.
I think informally it's already supporting that, but that's maybe a great idea to pursue as a revenue generator for our park system. I know the county does that amazingly well here in Milwaukee with the pop-up beer gardens, so maybe a lesson to take from them for sure.
Absolutely. Lisa, I hope that answered your question because that was very important. So thank you. Thank you so much. So Joseph and Jonathan, any final comments or words that you would like to share with our audience?
I'd just say, again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really excited that this is a couple years down the road, but we were, the community was patient and diligent in pursuing this opportunity. And we're really excited to see this concept brought to life this fall. So thank you very much. And we're excited, and we'd love to touch back at some point and talk about all the great things that are happening in the park since this reconstruction.
I do have to say, AARP Wisconsin, we love photos. So please send the photos over as much as you can. We love to keep in touch with you to see all the impact, especially in Milwaukee and statewide. Jonathan, any comments at all?
Yeah, just echoing what Joe said. Thank you so much for having us. We're looking forward to this opportunity, and there's a good chance I'll be the one sharing the photos with you guys. So just wait, they'll be coming.
Okay, and if there is a beer garden, please send out a press release so we can forward that right away. So thank you. And Bob, any final comments from you on City of Cuba City?
Well, again, I think that public engagement in these kind of opportunities is key. Understanding what your constituents would like to see there, the partnerships, AARP, the university, our local donation fund, all meant a great deal. And it's really going to make this feasible. The university did the design, their design team created this concept for us. Their art department is doing this huge mural for us. And starting next week, we'll be working on a bicycle path, walking path across the city that will all tie in with this. So it's partnerships, folks.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And I want to thank all three of you. Thank you so much, Milwaukee Parks Department and also City of Cuba City for joining us today. We're going to be having the 2 other remaining wonders for the state of Wisconsin in a few weeks, so always make sure to check back. So join me next Thursday for Thursdays, of course, with AARP on Facebook.com and also YouTube. I talked to Lisa Lampkins, who is our Director of Federal Advocacy. She's going to talk all about voter education. Remember, this is a voting year. This is an election year. So she'll be talking about some great information that you can pass along also to your friends and your family. Please also click below. There is a webinar coming up that you can find out more information. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and be safe.
Thank you.